In today's video, we're going to take a look at the key differences between weed withdrawal and THC detox or weed detox. There's a big difference between withdrawal and detox when it comes to the timelines, the symptoms, and what each of these things actually mean. If you're taking a tolerance break, if you're in the process of quitting weed entirely, or if you're preparing for a drug test, today's video is going to be very relevant to you. Now, if you wind up enjoying the content, be sure to check out the links in the pinned comment and the video description for more free and paid resources on helping you quit using cannabis. Let's dive right into it. First, let's look at THC detox. THC is a psychoactive thing that binds to the receptors on the brain that creates the sensation of being high. THC detox is referring to the clearance of THC from your body, but also the clearance of the metabolites, the byproducts of THC. So when you consume cannabis, that THC binds to receptors on your brain, and then you get that high psychoactive effect. But after you go a period of time of not consuming it, your body starts to break down THC into metabolites or byproducts that are then stored in your fat cells, in the fat of your body. Generally speaking, in the first 1 to 3 days, active THC, the thing that binds to receptors on your brain and your nervous system, those levels are going to drop in both blood and saliva. When we're talking about 7 days and beyond, what we're actually talking about are the metabolites or the byproducts of THC. So for a casual user, we'll usually see THC detox take about 7 days. This is someone who uses maybe just a few times a week. A moderate user or a heavy user, someone who uses daily, we're going to talk anywhere from 10 to 30 days to complete that THC detox. And then someone who is a chronic user, no pun intended, so they've been using cannabis every day in really high strengths and concentrations, we're talking 60 to 90 days to fully detox THC and the metabolites of it out of your system. And I really want to emphasize the word metabolites, okay? Because when you're using like an at-home drug test to track your detox progress, you're testing the metabolites of THC, not THC itself. And I've seen people test positive, 120 days plus when it comes to detoxing those metabolites. Detox tests THC metabolites. I have to emphasize that, and you're going to understand why in a minute. If we talk about THC or cannabis withdrawal, this is a totally different process. THC withdrawal is in reference to your brain and your body adjusting to no longer having THC. Withdrawal symptoms occur not because the metabolites of THC are present in your urine, but because of the neurochemical changes that are happening in your brain. And THC withdrawal really has nothing to do with the rate at which you're detoxing THC or clearing THC from your system. It has everything to do, though, with dopamine and serotonin and GABA and adrenaline and noradrenaline and all these other neurochemical adaptations that occur in your brain when you stop using cannabis. Typically for withdrawal, and these guidelines and timelines are not set in stone, but usually in the first 0 to 3 days, your mood, your GI system, your sleep, your appetite, all of that stuff is going to be screwed up. And those are kind of hallmark withdrawal symptoms for quitting any substance, okay? Now, days 4 to 7 are typically where we see peak withdrawal symptoms. And this is where cravings are really going to intensify, the irritability, the sweating, the vivid dreams, which were absolutely crazy when I quit using cannabis, headaches, physical body pain. Now at days 10 to 14, you might see some lingering withdrawal symptoms. And it's around day 30, generally speaking, where your brain is going to be making that dopamine again. It's around day 14 where your body is going to start to produce its own endocannabinoids again. THC is a phytocannabinoid from the cannabis plant. Your body has probably become pretty reliant on that source of it, so it stops making its own. But once you quit using cannabis, your body starts making its own THC, not exactly, but its own endocannabinoids again. In days 30 to 90, usually by day 90, most people are feeling better, but some people may be experiencing something called post-acute withdrawal symptoms. This is usually mood-related, anxiety, depression, irritability, paranoia, stuff like that. When it comes to post-acute withdrawal symptoms, I always like to throw in a big disclaimer because people will contact me that they're experiencing post-acute withdrawal symptoms, but once we start having a conversation, a lot of those symptoms seem to be more related not to THC withdrawal, but rather to other lifestyle factors like diet, stress management, sleep patterns. There's many other outside factors that can impact how we feel day to day. So although it may be pause if you've been a long-term heavy chronic user that you're experiencing post-acute withdrawal symptoms, for most people I talk to, it's usually unrelated to cannabis at that point and cannabis withdrawal. Now, let's look at this. THC Detox is a reference to how long THC and the metabolites remain in your system. That's what THC Detox is referring to, okay? THC withdrawal is referring to how long it takes your brain to adjust and heal, which really is a separate thing. It has nothing to do with THC detox. You can have THC withdrawal symptoms with a full detox. So you could take an at-home drug test, and I'll give a shout out right now to Exploro, one of our channel sponsors. I put a link to their product in the pinned comment in the video description. They're an FDA and OTC cleared at-home, highly sensitive THC drug test. You could take this at home and you could be testing positive for THC at 30, 60 days, but you could be experiencing zero withdrawal symptoms. Now on the flip side, you could take an at-home drug test like Exploro, shout out to them, and you could be fully detoxed, not testing positive anymore for the metabolites of THC, but you could still have ongoing withdrawal symptoms. These things are not a perfect match, and people often associate them as the same thing. So we want to be very clear on that. Let's cover some myths and some facts. A myth, a positive drug test like this means that I'm going to still be experiencing withdrawal. Absolutely not. That is not what that means. A fact, THC metabolites do not cause withdrawal. The brain rebalancing and recovering and adapting is what leads to those withdrawal symptoms. And I always like to say, withdrawal is the death of the addiction. It's that addicted voice's manipulative way of trying to suck you back in. And it's a signal of a progress. It's a signal that you're winning. THC detox is a signal that your body and your liver and your kidneys are still working and doing what they need to do to get these toxins out of your system. Another common myth, that detox drinks will help with withdrawal. I get this call all the time. Someone's dealing with THC withdrawal. They'll sign up on one of our coaching sessions and they'll say, look, the guy at the vitamin store sold me this THC detox drink. Is that going to help me with withdrawal? Absolutely not. Detox does not fix withdrawal. Detoxing faster does not fix your withdrawal symptoms. It does not have an impact on your brain's neurochemistry. Only time, healing, and lifestyle modification, sleep, diet, stress management, stuff like that, is going to help with the withdrawal process and brain recovery. Here's the big thing. THC metabolites, the stuff that you're testing for in an at-home test kit, which is THC-OOH, I think that's one of the common metabolites that's being tested. These are not psychoactive. So when you take an at-home drug test, what you're seeing is the detox process happening. But just because you have THC metabolites present in your urine does not mean they're present in your blood, and does not mean that those metabolites are binding to the CB1 receptors in your brain and having psychoactive effects like THC. So people will say to me, well, Dr. Frank, I don't get it. I quit smoking weed and I was working out and I think I released some THC from my stored fat. You're not releasing THC back into your blood. You're releasing the metabolites of THC into your system. And chances are that you're feeling dizzy and out of it because your body's still going through that detox process. Your liver, your kidneys, the blood flow, it's going to detoxing versus working out. and you just might have not been ready for that yet. It might have been too much stress on your system, the workout. But it's not necessarily that you reactivated THC from your fat cells and that you're now getting high again. That's a common myth that I discuss with people when we're talking about this stuff. Now, home drug tests look at THC metabolites. They are not an assessment of brain chemistry. If you have a drug test coming up, one of the best things you can do is test yourself at home to make sure you're going to pass. You can use detox drinks, and I'll make a longer video on that. But detox drinks aren't necessarily speeding up the rate at which you detox. I mean, maybe a little bit because you're urinating more because you're drinking more. But what they're doing is they're using certain ingredients like creatine and this and that to throw off some of the markers that they look for in your urine. And some drug tests are able to flag people when they're using detox drinks and say, hey, this person's urine looks really, really shady because some of these markers are up and we think they might be trying to cover up for THC. The only way to be sure is to test at home. Taking an at-home test is not an indicator of the rate at which your brain is healing. That would require much more advanced blood work, much more advanced imaging and brain scans, stuff that most people don't have day-to-day access to. Really, THC withdrawal symptoms are just a matter of monitoring the person and how they're feeling and what they're experiencing. It's really symptom related. We made our chewing gum, Kick It Crave Less chewing gum right here that I always promote on my channel, that has KSM 66 ashwagandha and N-acetylcysteine. N-acetylcysteine to help reduce cravings, KSM 66 ashwagandha to help with the brain fog and the stress relief. I made this to help more with the withdrawal symptoms. This is not a detox product. A product like this is tracking your rate of detox. Now, why would you want to test or track your detox as you're quitting weed if you don't have a drug test or something? I think it's nice to see that progress of THC clearing out of your system and all the metabolites clearing out of your system. I think that can be motivating, especially if you are experiencing some ongoing withdrawal symptoms. I also think it helps give a better prognosis. If someone is struggling with withdrawal for an ongoing period of time and they're still testing positive for THC metabolites in their urine, even though they have nothing to do with one another, it gives us a good idea of how long and how much and how significantly this person's body was impacted by THC. And it can create some more realistic expectations when it comes to withdrawal and quitting and stuff like that. So I hope this video helps you guys out, but I want to make it very clear, just because you're testing positive at home on a drug test for THC metabolites does not mean that you're going to have ongoing withdrawal. And just because you have withdrawal symptoms doesn't mean that you're going to continue to test positive for THC and its metabolites. These are two different things, two different, systems in the body that are healing and rebalancing. Now, if you have questions or you need help with this stuff, check out the links in the video description. We have a bunch of free PDFs and handouts to help people quit. We got one-on-one coaching, group coaching, supplements, test kits, all that stuff, everything you need to quit or take a tolerance break, whatever you're trying to do. Until next time, guys, thank you.